Hello, lovelies. In this lesson, we are going to look at why we don't have the same amounts of daylight all year long. So let's recap a little bit first. So far, we've learned about how Earth's tilted axis causes heat energy to be unevenly distributed throughout each hemisphere. And so because of this, there is a difference in seasons. When the hemisphere is tilted towards the sun, it's receiving direct heat energy, or just more direct light. So when this happens, it's summer for that hemisphere. But when the hemisphere is tilted away from the sun, the hemisphere is receiving indirect heat energy, so that means it's winter. But when neither is tilted away or towards, it's receiving about equal heat energy, and it's either increasing or decreasing. And when that happens, it's either fall or spring. So if it's fall, the heat energy is going to continue to decrease, and if it's spring, it's going to continue to increase. Because the Earth revolves around the sun while it's being heated unevenly, the seasons change. And to answer this question, which direction does the Earth revolve around the sun? It's counterclockwise, just like the rotation, and it takes 365.25 days. But that's not the whole story. So because the Earth is tilted and we receive sunlight, we receive heat energy unevenly, it also means we receive light energy unevenly, and it will change throughout the year because of the revolution. So that means our length of days actually change throughout the year too. And you might have noticed this, that the sun sets really fast in the winter, like it sets around 5:30 or 6, and it's dark when we go home. But in the summer, the sun will stay out until 9 o'clock. The reason why is this. It's because the sun, as we move around the Earth, stays in the sky longer periods during the summer and shorter periods during the winter. So the sun rising, quote unquote, will in January, it doesn't rise very high in the sky, so it stays lower in the sky, which means it stays less time in the sky, which would lead to shorter days and cooler temps. Also means the angle of the sunlight is covering a larger area, so the heat energy is distributed over a larger area, which means all the individual areas are cooler. But as the Earth moves towards being tilted towards the sun, like it is in June for us in the northern hemisphere, the sun is the highest in the sky, so it has to travel all the way here and all the way down. Well, we travel, not the sun, but because of that, it stays longer in the sky, which means we have longer days, longer amounts of daylight, and warmer temps because the angle of the sun is more direct over a smaller area. So here's how that changes. Here's a visual of how that changes throughout the year. When the Earth is tilted towards, when the northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun, we have longer days and warmer temps, and we know that that's summer. The angle of the sun is more direct, which means it's going to stay in the sky longer, giving us longer days, warmer temperatures. In the southern hemisphere, the opposite is happening. Notice how the angle of the light changes, that it's more shallow, which means we have shorter days because the sun stays less time in the sky, which gives us cooler temps. In the fall, as we move from summer to fall in northern hemisphere, the angle of the light is going to become more shallow, and the angle in the southern hemisphere is going to increase. But they're about even here, except that for one day, they're even, but for the rest of the days, as it continues through fall, we'll start to see decreasing daylight, so this angle will become more shallow, and we'll have decreasing temperatures because of it, because the sun is staying lower in the sky. And then when it's spring, the angle will increase, and we'll see increasing amounts of daylight because the sun is staying higher in the sky, gradually more each day. And then it flips because the northern hemisphere is tilted away, and I see that the The angle is more shallow in the winter, more overhead, more steep in the summer. And it continues with that trend where the angle of light is changing because of how the Earth is tilted. And that all has to do with how long the sun stays in the sky. So I'm going to leave you here with this graphic here. I think this is the best one. It all depends on how the sun is in the sky, how long the sun is in the sky, as to the angle of light that we get and the changes in daylight hours.